welcome to the My Amazon Guy PPC AMA. I'm your host, Marissa Linzey. I'm an account director here at My Amazon Guy. Today with me, I have John Tilley. He is the CEO and founder of ZonGuru. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Marissa. I'm excited for today, and thanks for having me. And I love the little like your room's got like a little pink hue. It's kind of cool.
I have like a nano leaf. I don't know if you know those. Okay. Yeah, so it's in like a little pattern. I can change it. This lighting tends to do me the best justice. Thank you. Where are you at today?
I'm in Los Angeles. I'm actually it's still early-ish for me, so I'm in Los Angeles at home, and typically my mornings, because I overlap with Europe, I'm usually at home, and then by about 1 o'clock I get to the office. But Los Angeles is home. Yeah.
Nice. For those of you who don't know, I'm in New Jersey, so I'm Eastern time. But Jason, another one of our podcast hosts, he's also in California. So it's always like 9 a.m. for him when he does these, and he's like, "Hi," like. So still waking up. All right, so I'll let you intro and tell us a little bit more about ZonGuru. But from what I understand, you're running a data-centric operational kind of tool set for brands and agencies, utilizing keyword intelligence and keyword SEO and all of that good stuff. So I'll let you dive a little bit more into that, expand.
Looking forward to the questions around this PPC AMA topic. I think for those who don't know ZonGuru listening, I'm the founder of ZonGuru. We launched late 2016, early 2017, really as an operational tool set for brands early on. So sellers and helping sellers scale. We have about 17 different tools in the with a global audience and global Amazon marketplaces. We have in the last year and a half focused our product on agencies, and that's our fastest growing segment is agencies as well. Using our tool to operationally run client storefronts. What we're known for in our flagship products is around keyword intelligence. We call the tool Keywords on Fire, and then our SEO listing optimizer tool. We were the world's first to integrate in ChatGPT in our space back in January. We launched our beta, and we've seen an amazing results with that. So that might be an interesting topic to talk about. But how do you use ChatGPT in the appropriate way to optimize your listing content? So we're industry leading there. We have the most control over inputs as well, which is a really interesting topic. But the speed at which you can get a baseline for your listings is incredible. We can do it in under 1 minute to get a fully optimized listing for page one. So really those two tools are our flagship tools, and the idea of contextual SEO is a topic that we can talk about as well. And then more importantly, how does all of that relate to your PPC campaigns? And there's obviously a very close relationship between them. And how do you maximize your potential, but hit the right triggers in your PPC campaigns to make it work for the algorithm, right? Which is the mecca of what we're trying to do here all the time. So, there's a lot of insights we have around what works for organic ranking. How does that work for organic ranking and the algorithm and PPC together? But yeah, that's us at a high level nutshell. We have a global, seller audience, and then obviously agencies and brands using us as well. So,
yeah, really interesting. I have some questions of my own if we run out in our comments here today. Let's go through some hellos. So we have SEO expert. Says hello all. Hello. We have a LinkedIn user, says howdy. We have John Aspinall. He's early today. He usually just jump into my podcast until later in the day.
I will do that.
My LinkedIn invite. You don't have to.
No.
You don't have to. You don't want to.
I can see John sitting there with his arms crossed. He's like, "Yo, you got to do it now. You got to accept that invite." Okay.
You're a LinkedIn celebrity now. You have to. You got to ride off his coattails a little bit.
Nice.
Okay, perfect. So, everyone, try to get your questions in. We do have a hard stop of 1 p.m. With that said, if we do run out of questions before then, we'll end a little bit early. But I want to make sure that, we're being respectful of everybody's time here today. Looks like we do have one question came in from Karen. So my client's average monthly sales are $100,000 in June. I achieved their budget target, obtaining an 8 ROAS. However, their June sales were lower than May. Can or did PPC cannibalize organic sales, in your opinion?
Yeah. So the June sales were lower, but is the June sales lower on the organic side or overall? I think is the key question, right? It sounds like maybe the organic sales were lower. Look, there's always the question of whether PPC cannibalizes organic. And, early on in the Amazon, probably a couple of years ago, there were a lot of sellers who were like, hey, I'm not switching on PPC because I could have got that sale from organic anyway, right? And, I think at the end of the day, you can't nitpick on that, right? Where you're saying, hey, was it cannibalizing organic? I think you have to look at the overall picture of the overall accounts. And at the end of the day, if you're achieving the ROAS that you need to achieve, you need to be looking at the high level number. And most of the time you're really focusing on growing revenue. Obviously, if you're really focusing on profits, those are things you can test. But I would say, hands down, every client that we deal with, every seller, the benefit you get from really driving your PPC at the right ACOS and TACOs is going to lift all boats, right? Organic and PPC. So, I don't think if there is any cannibalization, it's a small percentage of the overall business, right? It's going to grow your whole business, hands down. So you're doing the right thing, and obviously achieving the ROAS is great. So I don't know if you have any comments on that as well, Marissa.
Yeah, I mean, 8 is a great ROAS.
Yeah.
In my experience, we have clients all the time that ask about, cannibalization, and to the extent, their best-selling products are kind of experiencing that. What I kind of tend to see is, as a listing, gets more mature and, gets a lower BSR, maybe you can pull back advertising a little bit. There is some cannibalization that we do see a little bit, just as far as, SKU metrics go, and kind of the net, proceeds that you're gaining from each SKU. Like, that number will kind of give you an estimate, right, of what your total profit is, right? So sometimes, if that's lowering, that can suggest that, even though you're killing it and, you're making sales, it's obviously more profitable to have more organic sales than ad sales that you're paying for. So that's, kind of my advice. But it really does depend on what your KPI is, right? If you're really concerned about organic sales, then, I would say maybe pull back a little bit. Depends, on the kind of structure of each product too. Like, if they're all parented together on one landing page, like, do you really necessarily need to be advertising on every single variation, right? Stuff like that, where you can save a little bit if, you are concerned about, cannibalization as a whole. If, my take, I'm not the PPC expert on today's.
Yeah. If I saw that, if I saw that as 8 ROAS, I would have said that's actually.
I would say that's great, right?
Almost too good. Where I would actually probably spend a little bit more and drive PPC more and take a little lower ROAS with more maximum reach, right? So
yeah,
I think you could scale that even more. Anyway.
Definitely. All right. Next question.
Mm-hmm.
Hi guys. If you can summarize in short, what kind of keywords would you include in broad, phrase, and exact to get the best results?
Yeah, I can take the first stab at that. I would say, summarize in short, the best. There's a lot of depth to this question, right? But I think the best results that we see from an SEO perspective is to not exact match in your title. You got to pick a few keywords that your main keyword drivers that you want to exact match in your title. But if you can actually broad match for the maximum amount of relevant, high volume, high driver, opportunity keywords that you want in your title, that's going to work incredibly well with the algorithm, right? So, for example, inside of ZonGuru, we will showcase you the most relevant keywords that you should be optimizing for. And what actually the algorithm, the AI does really well is it manages to write your title in a way that is professionally written, makes a lot of sense, isn't keyword stuffed, exact matches for your main terms, but then broad matches for at least 20 to 30 terms within that title. And that seems to work incredibly well with what does work really well with the algorithm. So, that's the answer I would give you, is like, don't focus on exact matching in your title for too many terms where you're overstuffing it. Match for a couple, high priority in the front of the listing, but then really broad match for the majority. And that in theory it sounds easy, but it's actually quite hard to write and do it in a way that broad matches. That's what AI can do really well for you as a baseline. So that would be my answer is Sam is onto something here, which is like, yeah, broad matching on a lot of terms can get you incredible results.
Yeah, I think that's a good, general example. Obviously, you can get a lot more in the weeds of that, but that makes sense. And then we have another hello from Mohammed on LinkedIn. This is interesting. What is the criteria to join your team? So I've tried a couple of times. So what do you look for when you're looking for to recruit?
Mohammed, you haven't tried hard enough. Maybe you have now, because I haven't seen your name pop up yet. But it's a really good question. I think at ZonGuru, I would say as a founder of a business, the value that we, you can hire for expertise, and that's a certain level, right? You've got to be an expert in certain areas, but we prioritize hiring for values. You have to have the right kind of value set for our team, because you can teach expertise, but you can't teach values, right? To a degree. So we do have that as a filter on our side. I would say our highest value at ZonGuru is curiosity. Especially in a startup, if you have team members that are curious, that what their nets out is enjoy the problem solving process, where they see something and they're like, let me figure this out. I'm curious about this. I want to solve for it. That typically is a value that, if we get that type of person, fits really well with our team and grows astronomically within our team. So it's a really good question, but obviously expertise is an important point, but value set is important.
Right, like wanting to always know more and find more answers, and that's almost just as important. And you can't teach that. That's something that's very much so innate.
Absolutely, 100%.
And then hello, sir, from Hassan. And then, how can we improve organic sales? Kindly guide me. So another kind of broad question, so you can get as nitty gritty into it as you want to. But
yeah, I mean that's a very high level question with a lot of detailed answer. I'll give you my high level opinion on the organic side. Stephen and I also we posted similar stuff on LinkedIn about what moves the needle on the on SEO on the organic side. There's a bunch of factors that go into the algorithm, but it's also not as complicated as people tend to think it is, right? Which is, at the high level, and this is validated from, we have relationships with people at Amazon, but also people who built the algorithm, etc. Which is, it's really about how, building a content of your listing, starting with the most relevant terms, title, bullets, description, back in search terms in that order, right? And it's really about the higher up, whether you exact or broad match, the higher up that keyword is in your listing, if you convert on that from a customer, the more juice you get to your listing, right, from the algorithm, the more triggers it, right? So that's the high level basics. I would say that of all of the pieces that drive organic, that spike the organic, the algorithm, conversion is still number one, right? So you always got to aim for conversion. Things that they have, like machine learning algorithms inside that really look at keywords and how keywords convert for listings, etc. I would say the positive reinforcements factors that go into the algorithm are, it's a, someone clicking on, so it's click rates for sure. It's putting it into your cart. So adding to cart is definitely an important piece. And then obviously conversion is the main piece, right? If you actually make a sale on that, those are positive reinforcements. Negative reinforcements, and this is also one of the things that Stephen, focuses on, which is negative reinforcements are people that see your listing but then skip it, or they scroll by it, right? Like these are things that pick up. So that initial image and what that looks like, or the initial thing that grabs them, is still incredibly important. And if you can grab attention on that, it's gonna help you. If they just scroll by you because your price isn't right, or your image isn't right, that also negatively impacts. So those are some of the machine aspects that go into reinforcing organic sales. But at a high level, organic sales, you want to maximize your reach through the content that you have. So you've got to get your door in front of customers when they're looking for your product. So that's number one, which you can achieve through the content in your listings. And then more importantly, once they see your door, get them to knock on it, come in, and then convert, right? And conversion comes down to not necessarily the copy, although that's going to help you. It's going to be down to your images, your overlays, your EBC content, and obviously your price, right? So that's high level, I would say, on the organic side. I don't know if you have anything else to add to that.
Yeah, no, I agree. Your listing has to look good. Keywords won't save you or won't make or break a sale. Your actual product has to look good. And shameless plug for our main image hacks on my Amazon Guy website. I think that's what you're referring to as far as making the main images really pop, and whether that's including packaging within those main images, and really anything that's not going to make it look too rendered or too edited, but still kind of get the point across of what is this product, what's exciting about it, and everything like that. So definitely.
One of the questions that comes up just on that is like, hey, should I be using AI for my images and generating product images with AI? My answer on that still is no, right? I think achieving it with good product photography is absolutely the right way to go. But one of the hacks that works really well is generating your main image with AI tools, right? As a brainstorm on what kind of angles or what might help from an eye-catching perspective, right? You can kind of think about that, but if you can use AI to generate different angles and different ideas around the main image, that's a pretty cool hack. And then once you have those ideas, you can go ahead and get your product photographers to shoot that, right? Just to kind of look at it slightly differently, get more input around what could I do differently with that main image, and that seems to work well.
Yeah, and a lot of the things that I see sometimes, they'll have a really nice, rendered picture of the product and, white background. That can look a little boring on its own, right? So we A/B test against, let's say it's a product that has aloe vera in it, right? You get like a nice aloe vera leaf and, put it behind the product and do some kind of overlay, make it look pretty. And then, you can A/B test it. So half of your audience is seeing the brand new, image, and the other half is seeing maybe the older one, and you can kind of monitor as far as, how many clicks are you getting, how many actual purchases are you getting, and what people, prefer. And a lot of the time, I'm kind of biased, right? Because our team creates these images. So I always want to go with the brand new one. But, let the data, guide the way and tell you the answer as far as what, your customers prefer.
Yeah, absolutely. And last, yeah, you got a question, but last note on just back to the organic stuff. I think a lot of sellers tend to focus too much on the algorithm in the title, right? And they're trying to, stuff everything into there, and that's why I always, again, just focus on, you can write a really professional title where you broad match on your most relevant terms, and that works incredibly well together with the rest of your listing, together with the important stuff like focusing on conversion, right? So you gone are the days where you have to really overstuff that title, or should be, right? So just focus on professional, well written, in line with the categories requirements, titles, and broad match on the most relevant terms.
Definitely. And then I think this was a continuation to our kind of answer that we gave before. So for months, I've had zero inventory and done zero PPC. Despite this, why am I constantly getting charged on my credit card in an attempt to settle your Amazon seller account balance? So this might be a better Friday question as far as like troubleshooting.
Yeah, I think the answer there is like you pay a monthly as a seller. You know, for Amazon to be an Amazon seller, you pay a monthly subscription fee, right? So if you've got an active account, you're going to get charged monthly for that. I think that's what that
yeah.
is.
Yeah. And that could be anything, right? That could be FBA fees, that could be warehouse fees, that could be, you know, really, there are a lot of Amazon fees. So I don't know if that's all necessarily tied to PPC, if at all. But depending what else you've got going on in there, what other, you know, there's referral fees, even just for using, you know, the website. So all of those.
The bigger point there is like, Karen, why do you have zero inventory and zero PPC?
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to fix that, and then you'll be happy to pay Amazon a little bit of money. Yeah.
Hey, you're on this podcast every week. You gotta. Have you learned anything? Okay, and then from Josh, happy Tuesday. If we eventually split all of our children from the parentage, could we have all of them on page 1? Or does Amazon only allow a seller to have so many organic and sponsored positions? Interesting.
Yeah, I actually don't know the answer to that. I know that we typically depends on the strategy, but some, you know, we see sellers you know, split out their childs to obviously gain more you know, coverage on page 1. So we definitely do see that. I don't know if they limit the amounts. I actually don't know the answer on that one. I don't know if you do.
I tend to lean towards no, just because ideally you're going after all of the same keywords for all of the children, right? So, I mean, you're either going to kind of cannibalize yourself, right? Because all of your children are going to be competing against each other. And I mean, there could be some benefit there if you're what you're trying to do is be, you know, sponsored 1, 2, 3, and then organic 1, 2, 3, and but I almost feel like that's not necessarily the most effective approach, just to bombard people with the same listing in different colors all over page 1, and it sounds kind of expensive and maybe not so cost effective to do it that way. I don't know your thoughts there.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. I think it just depends on where you're at with the stage of your business. You know, at some point, you know, if you are, you know, at a certain level and you want to split out a few childs, that might be useful, and you could test that. But yeah, I don't know if that, to your point, I don't know if the benefit of splitting it out and is gonna do better than keeping it together. I would say maybe 1 or 2 might be good, but certainly if you take over in theory, if you take over the whole search results page with every sponsored ad and every sponsored position, I don't know the long-term benefit of that from a customer perspective, right? So
yeah, and you know, sometimes it's hard to tell which variation is going to do the best too, right? A lot of the time in parentages, it's 1 or 2 colors that is generating most of the sales, right? The other colors they're you know, or sizes are just kind of there. But they're not necessarily doing the revenue that the, you know, select few are. So it's kind of a gamble too, right? You're kind of trying to assume which product is going to do the best out of all of them. And we see a lot of the time, you know, clients will have the same, you know, colors on their websites, and it's a different one that does the best on their website versus on Amazon. So I always recommend keeping, you know, same product types, you know, together, and having those variations, if for nothing else, then, you know, review sharing, and also, you know, your BSR is going to be the same across all of the children. So you can, you know, really advantage, and kind of take advantage of those 1 or 2 really strong variations, keeping your BSR pretty low as far as, you know, the other colors who are just kind of, or sizes or other variations tagging along.
Sure.
So, okay. And then advice on product research, launching new products, tools to use, criteria. etc. So I don't know, do you do a lot of, new product launches and that kind of thing?
Yeah, we do. I want to, if we can maybe take, obviously the audience here is mostly PPC and SEO focus. So I know, Karen, it's a great question. And I think we could table that maybe towards the end if there aren't any questions. I don't know if you have other questions, but I have a few concepts that on the PPC SEO side that I can go over as well. But yeah, if Karen's okay with it, let's table this towards the end if there's no other questions.
Yeah, definitely. And then, do you have any AI tools, for, I guess, keyword hunting or anything like that you'd like to recommend? Beyond No.
No, not at this point. I think there are a few ideas we have on how to extrapolate AI into product hunting, but that's in our future roadmap. Right now, we're obviously focused on the organic SEO side. Yeah,
for sure. And then when we launch the PPC campaign with multiple keywords against one product, should we go with specific keywords or a huge list? Should we minimize keywords on each campaign to avoid cannibalism? That's the big theme today.
One product with multiple. Yeah, look, I think the high level point here is like when you're sending search clicks or whatever to your listing, right? It's got to be with the intent of the most relevant keywords that are going to drive conversions. If you're sending bad traffic to your listing that's just going to result in them leaving, right, because they clicked on it or they missed your ads, or they scrolled past your ads, or they even clicked on it and then bounced, that's not going to be great for your conversion and for the algorithm, right, on the PPC side or the organic side, right? So I would always tend towards a more specified list that you can then analyze and grow over time. And I think understanding then on your analysis which ones are more research terms or which ones are high conversion terms, and then knowing when if it's just a research term and it's not getting clicks, when to abandon that is a detailed sequence of steps that is really driven by patience and analysis, right? And I think that's the most important thing about PPC that we see a lot of people make mistakes, is that they don't have a structured sequence to how they approach PPC, and they don't have patience to kind of sit with it and understand when they should drop terms or when they should keep terms going or when they should add terms, right? So the high level answer to that is definitely more of a focused approach with a detailed understanding of the sequence of when is the percentage at a point where I need to drop that term. So that's the first comment I would make. The second comment I would make, which is just an extrapolation of this question, which is, we see a lot of themes right now in our clients and our customers, which is around, hey, my listing sales haven't been performing as well as they historically have. Should I be updating my SEO optimization on my listing? And then if I do that, how do I collaborate between that optimization and my PPC, right? And some people are updating the listings and they're scratching their head because they're like, well, it's not really having an improvement. Some people are just running PPC and understanding not how to do that. And the point is that they work together. And it's like, how do you sequence those together? And what I would say high level on that is, if you're updating your SEO content of your listing, obviously you can use ZonGuru. It's going to help you ZonGuru will help you to find what are the most important relevant terms, but also what is going to help you to find is what are some of the opportunistic terms that, have got relevancy, do have search volume, but your competitors haven't found them yet or don't rank well with them. Those are critical ones that you should find in your, and target as well, so that in your listing you maximize your relevancy for all of the terms, but you have your certain high level converting terms, and you have some opportunistic terms that you can really push on your PPC side. And that's an important step, right? Which is like, once you optimize your listing, use PPC to drive and put some more budget behind your high converting terms to get your conversion rate up, which is really good for the algorithm. But if there are opportunistic keywords, make sure you have a campaign for those that obviously quality score on your listing, that you can drive more bid to, but you can hopefully get some conversion behind, right? Obviously, you have to manage. If the conversion isn't there, then you can drop it. But if you can get a better conversion for some of those opportunistic keywords that your competitors haven't found or don't rank for yet, that's going to give you a nice overall bump to your listing. So the point is like optimize your listing, understand the keywords that you're targeting, higher conversion and opportunistic, and then push that with PPC, because if you can get your conversion rate up, it's going to help your business really grow. And that's really the combination, I would say, between how to sequence listing optimization and PPC. So sorry, a little bit longer of a diversion, but I think that's an important point.
Definitely. I know you kind of mentioned as far as being patient and waiting it out, and knowing when to turn off certain keywords and add in. What's that time frame look like for you? Like, what's your recommendation? I get varying answers on this. All the time.
I'm not diving in daily on PPC campaigns, but from my team and the guys that are in it, I would say the high level answer is there's a weekly analysis steps that you need to be doing on your PPC campaigns and a weekly optimization. But the optimization that you're doing is based on very specifics around hey, what is the click rate and conversion rate on certain terms, and if it drops below a certain threshold, then you can remove it out of the campaign or negative match on it, right? And it's monitoring that on a weekly basis. And if it's you've added keywords but they're still within that threshold, you don't remove them in that week. You'll remove them if they drop below that in the next week. You will drop that, right? So it's a constant weekly monitoring. Dedicating probably a few hours on one of the days or two of the days each week with a specific SOP of like, hey, this is what I'm going to look at. If it crosses the threshold, great, I'll remove it. If it isn't, it stays, right? And so it's just a constant process. But certainly, I would say any keywords that you're adding, there's going to be at least a 2-week period of kind of seeing the trend of that keyword and whether it's going to hit that threshold, right? So this is not like add some keywords today, drop them tomorrow.
Definitely. When do you kind of expect like a new keyword to generate a sale? Like, obviously that's not going to be a right away thing. Just as a point of reference, so here at MAG, we tend to wait maximum a month before turning off a keyword, as far as if we're trying to do more discoverability and break out into more spaces. Sometimes we'll wait around that length for a conversion before we turn something like that off.
Yeah, and the context of that strategy, right, is you've got a client who's clearly probably performing really well on the high converting terms already, right? So they've got like this baseline of like, hey, we've got this constant solid business coming in. And us at MAG, what we're trying to do is find these opportunistic keywords, maybe in the research side, and that's going to be additive to the overall business, right? So you're giving leeway on those keywords because it's not your main drivers, and they're not going to really impact the main conversion aspect. So you've got a little bit more leeway to generate that for a month. It really, again, so it depends on where your business is at, what your strategy is right now, which is like, hey, we've got great overall, high converting terms, and we're trying to find additional ones that will help on the research side that might, result in attribution and sales on the higher conversion ones later. If that's a strategy, you probably give it a little bit more time. But we have some keywords that we can add and just generate sales within that day, right? Because they are higher converting keywords that they just haven't been added in the right way to campaigns. And we have other ones which need more time, and they can sit around for, I would say typically it's about 2 to 3 weeks, not necessarily a month, but if finessing a campaign, you can give it all the time it needs, because that's not 80% of what your campaigns are all doing. It's like a tiny percentage of the leeway there, right? So I think that would be it's a difficult thing to unpack, because there's so many different strategies and so many different sequences that you need to go through, right? So that's my feedback there.
Definitely. And then I have a question. So I know that we utilize a lot of AI and all that good stuff. So how do you maintain the human element of optimizing campaigns and including new keywords and all of that, making those decisions that maybe bots are not equipped to be making, right?
Yeah, it's a really good question, right? And I think that's why our AI tool has been received so well in the space, both for brands and specifically agencies as well, is that we built it with the intent of it never replacing the human elements and the expert elements of, whether you're a seller, a brand owner, or an agency, right? Is the idea of AI is going into it with the idea that you can get an incredibly well optimized written content baseline in literally under 1 minute with AI, to what I talked about, the theory of and the realistic execution of writing a listing where you can broaden an exact match for the most relevant terms in a way that makes sense, tonality, language, all of those kind of things you can do really well with AI. But it's typically about 32% better optimized than the best sellers on page one from an optimization score. That's what AI does in 1 minute, which is amazing. But we've all got to recognize that that's 85% of where the listing should be. And as agencies and brands, if you just publish that, you're doing a disservice to, frankly, the whole industry and your clients. If you don't spend the time now really finessing that further, we're going like, okay, I understand the brand, I understand the client, I understand the objectives. What, does this make sense? Should I move a bullet up? Should I tweak this, change this? And finesse it further, right? So really spending that human element of getting that extra 15-20% out of that listing. And that's all built into the tool. So you can get the baseline and it's all done there, but then you can go in and customize it. You can see where competitors are strong, where they're weak, what are they focusing on? How do I make sure I'm focusing on that on my listing? How do I ensure that it's better than all my competitors? You can all do that within the tool itself. And then obviously publish that directly to Amazon through our API. So, it's a really important point. And we've had some reactions from agencies like, oh, we'll never use AI. But, when you put it in that context of like, hey, we're just helping to get the baseline so that the team can truly focus on what matters most, then it makes sense. And that's how you drive it forward. So that's number one. And number two, 100%. The other piece is, once you have that listing going and you're running PPC, how do you identify terms that are missing that need to be added? And we have some updates on that coming into our product roadmap. But certainly, that's an important piece, which is understanding what's converting from your search term reports on PPC, running more keyword intelligence sessions, finding out what are the terms that are actually trending for this part of the season, and making sure you can add those to your listings. Our keyword tool does a really good job of finding the localized listings for that month. So, running additional sessions and seeing, hey, what are some additional keywords that I don't have based on what's trending right now? You're going to start to pick that up inside of the tool as well.
Wow, that's really cool. I don't know if you'd want to do like a demo or anything like that, if that's something that, you wanted to share your screen and, you were interested in doing. Up to you.
Yeah, I can really do that.
Yeah, sure. So if you want to, you can kind of get that set up. And I think we have some non-PPC questions that I can answer real quick. So I have one from Sam. Is it okay to include some cool features and benefits in the Brand Story A+ content? Short answer is yes. Other cool benefit of having these, branded design elements as part of your listings is that you can put alt text behind them. So making sure all of that, SEO that you're using for PPC is also intertwined in your organic SEO. And we kind of have, clients experiment sometimes if they're not quite ready yet to embark on including those keywords or experimental keywords in their advertising and paying for them. Sometimes they'll sneak them into their organic listings and, in the back end and see if they perform there, well first. So there's some benefits there. I always recommend having a brand story in A+ content, especially if you're a brand owner. That kind of goes without saying, I think. And then we have one from Nazacat. In which form do we have to upload product descriptions on Amazon listings? I have heard that we've had to upload product descriptions in the form of HTML tags. Kindly guide me if I'm wrong. So in my experience, descriptions can just be short little paragraphs. We don't have to use,
HTML page.
arrows and the backslashes and break, and we don't need to be doing all that good stuff. We're not building a website. We're just trying to tell people what our product is and what it's about. And with that said too, if you do have A+ content, it goes right over the product description. So I know there's a lot of discourse as far as, is it even worth filling out? I would argue yes. You may or may not agree with me, John. But I think, number one, your product can get suppressed if you don't have a description at all. But also, I think it's just really easy to use an AI tool, right? To use like a ChatGPT or something and just have it spit out a paragraph of, what this product is, what it does, what problem it solves, and just, having that in the back end. I have seen evidence that suggests that products still index, or those keywords, within those descriptions still index, even with A+ content applied to the actual listing itself, even though it doesn't show to the customer. It's still within the listing and baked into there. But I don't know if you have like a differing opinion there.
No, I would say you're 100% right. With Amazon, every field that you have, make sure you use it in the right way. So descriptions you should put in there. I've seen listings suppressed if they add a lot of HTML to descriptions, like emojis and blah blah blah. You can use it if you want to break, and I think breaking up your description so you have different paragraphs makes it easier on the eye and easier to find what you're looking for as a customer. So short paragraphs is important. You can use breaks for that, but don't get into using HTML for a whole bunch of emojis and everything else. So that's important. But yeah, definitely descriptions are important to fill out. Search terms definitely drive a lot of the algorithms. You've got to be careful with those and look after those. But description for sure. Yeah, I'm ready when you are. But if you have more questions, no problem. But I can present.
Okay, perfect. I think we just got one more. So can ZonGuru help with creating brand story in A+? So do you do anything on like the design end of that, or do most of your clients and agencies have graphic designers that they kind of rely on?
Yeah, so we don't do anything on the A+ content. What I would say is we do have a tool called the love-hate tool, which is really it's kind of the first AI tool that was ever in the space to do a word cloud assimilation around positive and negative review sentiment. And that's, it's always worth running, obviously, for your copy and content, but that gives you some really good ideas in terms of what is important to call out on your image overlays, and obviously what is important to call out in your A+ content, right? So that is one tool that people who know ZonGuru use quite a bit, which is finding whatever I know, what are customers actually seeing as important, and what are they really give a shit about, right? So use that tool for sure.
Okay, perfect. Good answer. All right, whenever you're ready.
All right, let me present. Share the screen. Share a tab or share a
whatever works with you. If you want to do like a separate window type of thing, you can see it before you add it to the stream. So
can you see it?
We had it right there.
You got it?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, so this is ZonGuru. Obviously, you have your 17 different tools. The tool that I'm in right now is in our listing optimization section called Listing Optimizer. Really, the two drivers here are keyword intelligence tool, keywords on fire. We talked about that, which will find the most relevant terms that actual customers are typing into Amazon. And then you have your listing optimizer tool, which is this one right here. So I think this is being done for friendship lamps, right? These are just an example I picked out on our demo account. But, if you have a friendship lamp, one friend can have one somewhere else, and you can kind of switch them on and off at the same time, right? That's the idea of it. What the interface does is what we call contextual SEO, right? Which is, we always built the tool in mind of saying like, hey, we don't want to just tell you what are the best keywords for your listing, but in context to your competitors, how do they score? What are they focusing on? And how do I improve my listing to be better than my main competitors? So you can simply add the tool and just add your own listing and create an AI listing. But I always recommend adding a few of the main competitors to see, what are they focusing on and how do you beat them from a score perspective. So that's what I've done in the tool here is, you have this left side where you'll add the keywords, and I'll add it in a second. And on the right side of the tool, you can add up to 8 different listings. Typically, I would recommend adding 1 or 2 of the main competitors. So I've added kind of the top 2 brand analytics competitors right here. And then I've generated an AI listing as well. So I've just added 3. You can add more. You can also do it at the parents and extrapolate that for child variations. There's a bunch of other aspects we can get into. So when you add competitors, you just add here, and you can search, and you can add a few competitors. You could add a blank listing. You can add ASINs. And once you've added them, they're just going to populate on the right, and they pull in all of the content that matters, right? Which is title, bullets, description, and back-end search terms, right? So we pull in all of that content for any ASIN that you add, right? And then we'll score the listings based on how well they optimize for the keywords. So I'm just going to add the keywords. So from our keyword tool, you can add, from our keyword tool, you can also add your own keywords if you have them as well, and they'll dedupe against the keyword tool. So you can add multiple lists. I'll just add the friendship lamps. You can add strong and medium or all keywords. I'm just going to add all for this. Now, the important thing is you're not adding 10,000 non-relevant keywords. You're adding the most relevant keywords that matter for your niche. And in this case here, it's about 300. So once I've added the keywords, we give you some details on the keywords, and then we show you how well your listing is optimized. So, and then the listing strength. So, even though this keyword is listing is on page 1, they haven't optimized as much of the search terms as they should. This is the average, the little red line. So they've got some work to do, right? The title, etc. You can see where they've used keywords in their listing, right? I can scroll over. I can see how they exact and broad match. Broad match is this, right? The open star. So they're missing some keywords. You can see I'm missing 2. You can see the highlighted keywords are the deduped keywords that are missing. So they've got some opportunities here they've missed, right? So they've got a optimization score. They've got a listing strength. This is the other competitor we've added, done a little bit better. And this is the AI listing that I just generated. And you can see typically the score is around, it's a score of 25,000, which is way higher than these two. So the score is always better. How you generate an AI listing, you just click AI generate. You can select the keywords you want to use or use all of them. And then you have a bunch of settings. So you add your brand name, you can add a product description, you can negative match on certain keywords, you can choose a tone, whatever tone you want. And then the language is included in whatever market you're going for. It's a localized language. So Spanish for Spain versus Spanish for Mexico, etc. Right? So, and then it will generate the listing, and you can see what it's done here. Right? This is broad and exact match, but look how many terms it is broad and exact matching in the title, which are these ones, right? A bunch are actually broad matching in the title right here. You can see. I can just scroll over, right? You can see, right? Versus these other listings, you can see. Look, like they've just somewhere in the listing, which is the check mark, right? So it's done a much better job of writing a really good title: long distance friendship lamp set of 2, touch activated, friend touch lamp for connections across miles, ideal gift for loved ones, easy setup and use. That is broad matching for so many terms, and it's doing a great job on that front. And then you have bullets that'll write the benefit first, a description which we talked about. You can see it's got a page break for that to stay connected with your loved ones, no matter the distance, with our long distance friendship lamps, etc. Right? So, and then you can always add your back-end search terms as well. So, and then once you can obviously type on this, you can update it, and once you're happy with it, you can publish to Amazon just by clicking this button. You can match that to your child and parent ASINs. One other trick is you can, if you want to rewrite a bullet, I'm like, or the description, I can just click on this. I can obviously choose the keywords and rewrite it, but you also get a power prompting option as well. So once it's written a listing, you can power prompt it like you do with ChatGPT. You can be like, hey, maximize the 2,000 characters because it fell short in this case. So maximize the 2,000 characters, focus on these 3 core benefits, and write it with this tone, or you want to change it, or make sure you include this brand name. Whatever you want to do, you can power prompt it. It's going to self-learn on what's written and then rewrite it, right? So you have the power prompting feature, which just can help you to get really more specific on your baseline if it's missing something that you really want to talk about. Or if there's a bullet that it hasn't captured that you want to capture, you can reprompt it and say, hey, I want you to write about this benefit. And it's going to write it in the right fashion, right? So pretty cool that you can power prompt on top of it. And then you can publish it. So, on average, we're seeing, that 32% better optimized score. We're seeing about a 24% increase in sales on existing listings just because of the process of really expanding your visibility and SEO, aligning with the algorithm and giving your listing a maximum potential, where you can be sure that you have a better listing than any of your competitors, and you can go to the market with that. That was a quick overview of the tool. Yeah.
Nice. Do you ever use any like Amazon garnered like information? So any like brand analytics, or like do those play a role in here at all? I know here we use a lot of the search query performance reports and demographic data that we have access to and everything like that.
Yeah. So at a high level, the answer is we use the APIs, all of that, right, in certain ways into our keyword intelligence, in the right way with the APIs, and that's an important differentiator or step that we take, because we're trying to not figure out just what competitors are indexing for. We're trying to find what our customers actually searching for, right? And a lot of that data comes from those through our kind of API data. We can get access to a lot of that information, which is important because that is the data that can drive relevancy of keywords, localization of keywords, and really trying to find the opportunity around what keywords matter versus just what everyone is indexing for.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I have a question here on our demo. So what if all my competitors are using the tool? How will I be able to have a better listing? So if everybody is using AI or a tool like this.
Yeah, look, that question's come up before, right? And I think, hands down, a lot of people are using it in various ways in the space. I think what this ultimately gives you, and I brought it up before, is the time and ability to get your baseline in a much faster way, right? That then you can look at it, understand where your competitors are focused, and how do I use my creativity as an entrepreneur or a brand or an agency and my expertise in the space to really improve my listing and get it that extra, 110% of the way there, right? So if you simply use AI and you publish that, yeah, you're doing what probably everyone else is going to do. But the whole point of AI is it's pushing us as humans to be, to lift our game, be more creative, more experts, spend the time that we've gained by using software to focus on the levers that are really going to make our business even better, right? So that's how you need to look at this. Is not like, the negative side of like, hey, well, everyone's going to use it, so everyone's going to be the same. It's never going to be like that. What it's going to do, if you're the right person, is it's going to give you insights and a baseline in a faster way. So now you can really be creative and bring your expertise to drive your business even further. And no one can replicate that, right? So, those are the important things to do. For example, and this is like a tip that I love giving out, but one of the things that we see have a massive impact on people's business, if you take the time to find your ICP, your ideal customer, and you tell them, hey, this is my product. I want you to find it on Amazon, buy it, and I want you to record it using a video recording software like Loom or whatever you want to use, Komodo, and I want you to record your exact thinking as you go through that process, right? And actually a realistic purchase of that product. If you can spend a little bit of time and get 5 people to do that and record and say, hey, these are the questions I'm asking myself when I'm looking at competitors, maybe they click on your product, they don't. The insights you're going to get from that are going to help you with conversion is going to be insane. And so if you can save time on your listing optimization, but then you can spend more time on product research, understanding your customer and getting those insights and putting it into your listing, you've changed the game versus your competitors, right? And with those kind of screen recording things, the kind of stuff like one dimension that's missing from your image overlay on dimensions that every competitor has missed, that if you added that, it's going to give you an extra 5% on conversion, is massive, right? So those are the kind of things that you need to look at, by saving time on the admin of a listing, focusing on the right parts, but where else can you use your time to massively move your business forward?
Right. So using a tool essentially to get you at least to the baseline and where you need to be, and then if you have a good product, that's the majority of it, right? Having a good product, having good imagery of your good product, and then SEO and PPC and all that, brand story plus all that fun stuff is just going to further drive that point home, right? That you have a good product. So,
yeah.
Okay. Makes sense to me. And then did we want to go back to that one question real quick? Do we have time? product development. Okay, you find it. So any advice on product research and launching new products?
Yeah, we have a bunch of product research tools, looking for products, understanding niches, niche potentials, market share, all of those things that are important in understanding marketplaces and products within those niches, right? So the good thing is Amazon's given us a lot more data through Product Opportunity Explorer, etc., that we can use to identify and understand niches. At a high level, we've developed our product research tools to fundamentally answer some key business questions, right? And we call that the niche radar. And we kind of rate each product idea around this niche score that you get. And it's really around understanding, what is the demand for the type of product that you're asking customers to find, right? So there has to be a certain amount of demand. What's the competition opportunity? So how competitive is it? Is there still opportunity to get into it? What's your what's the margin that you're going to make on the product, right? If it's not going to make margin, you're not going to make enough money to scale a business, then there's no point of doing it. And then finally, what's the capital outlay that you need to do to give your product the best chance of success? So those are the key fundamental business questions that you need to answer. Like, is it a great market? Is it too competitive? Am I going to make money on this product? And how much do I need to start this business? And then obviously the fifth criteria in that is how do I differentiate the product, which is a softer skill. But we have tools like love hate and things that can really help you to understand, how to differentiate a product. But that's what we have built into all of our research tools, and it works really well at just helping you to firstly filter and understand what does this match the key business criteria to really launch a product. So that's number one. In terms of launching products, I think looking at various, you have a global marketplace, so it's not always necessarily the US that might be your start. And if you have a bit of a longer term view, you can get into bigger niche categories and other markets that are still going to grow over time. So sometimes starting in other markets and then coming to the US is a potential opportunity to look into. I would say one of the biggest things I would say about launching a product, if you're down to a few ideas, is choosing the idea that you can iterate on and launch new products in a faster way, right? So furniture is always a great example. If you find a furniture manufacturer, you can launch a chair today, you can launch a coat stand tomorrow, you can launch a door hanger, something the next day, right? Because they have all of that in their kind of portfolio. Rather than, the biggest stumbling block is like, how do you find a product? And then how do you find a manufacturer that's going to manufacture that? So if you can find a product suite that one manufacturer can iterate on, and you can launch a bunch of new ones, you've got a 7-figure business pretty quickly, right? So that's the trick to Amazon is, launching products, optimizing, but then how do you launch the second, the third, the fourth, right? And that's how you incrementally grow your business. So that's the biggest tip I'd give you on if you're choosing products when you're down to a few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think those are great tips, and that's a great way to kind of end the show. So for everyone, here's a link to ZonGuru.com. So if you want to click it or enter it into your search bars and check that out, check that tool out. Thank you so much for doing a demo for us. That was very fun to watch and very, I think we can talk about how things work, and it's another thing completely to see it in action, right? So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, and you just a note there. If you do go to ZonGuru.com and you sign up, it is a free trial. It's 7 days on that. And I think if you haven't, and you do have a live listing, it's worth your time to get in and at least scratch that itch. Like, do I have a well optimized listing? How does it compare to our main top 2 competitors? And if I can make sure that I've got a better listing than my competitors, that's a critical piece. So go in and at least do that, so that you're maximizing your listing, right? Which is good. And if you need any help on that, just chat. We have a team there. They'll give you a listing optimization SOP that you can follow, and steps and training, etc. So happy to help.
Thanks. Perfect. And then my little outro. So I have my Amazon guy here. So we launched our Magi tool. So you can enter any Amazon question, type your question into here and get a fun answer, or informational answer as well. And then also we have all of the services that we offer. So full service management, we offer coaching calls. So you can book with any of the other directors on our team. Yeah, anything that you're interested in here. We do, one-off. So we do a la carte. So A+ content and, brand stories and all that good stuff as well. And we also have Mag School. So if you're looking for, courses on SEO or on PPC, we also offer those as well. So thank you again for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much. Great questions. And yeah, Marissa, it's good to have these with, I can see your expertise for sure. So congratulations there. And great conversation for sure. And thank you everyone for the questions. That was super awesome.
All right. Well, thanks again. And with that, I will say goodbye. Please catch John Aspinall tomorrow for ASIN reviews. And then Friday, we have the regular AMA for any kind of Amazon question at all. So it doesn't have to just be PPC. It can be, listing, troubleshooting, why am I getting charged this amount? Any of those questions are fair game on Fridays. All right. Well, thanks so much, and we'll see you around.